I'll show you what I mean by that really right away. Pardon me. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like. We'll begin with a Mishnah in the beginning of Pesachim on Daf Beis Amud Aleph. We have a spectrum of ability in terms of the people that are. Just tell her it's the same link I sent David this morning, please. Okay. So we have a spectrum of ability in terms of experience. Some people have more experience, some people have less experience. So hopefully I'll be speaking with everyone. And if you have anything to say, feel free to chime in. So the sugya that we're going to be learning is about Bedikah and Bittul. Bedikah's chametz, or Bedikat chametz, is to search for chametz, and Bittul chametz is to nullify chametz. But before we talk about that, let's just take a look at the first couple lines of the Mishnah. This is the opening Mishnah to Masechet Pesachim. Like we've talked about in the past, the way that the Talmud is organized is we have Shisha Sejer Mishnah, the 6 orders of Mishnah. The order of Mishnah that deals with holidays is called Moed, and it's called Moed, and and Pesachim is the particular volume or Mesechet that deals with the holiday of Pesach. That's not to say that it's exclusively, because you can find the laws of Pesach other places as well. Certainly the laws of Yom Tov are found other places as well. But much of Pesach is going to be found here in Pesachim. It's quite a lengthy volume, quite a lengthy Mesech. Okay, here we go. Or la'arba asar, bodkin es hachametz. We have some really neat tools over here that we're going to utilize every once in a while. Or la'arba asar, bodkin es hachametz. I'm going to underline it in blue. You should be able to see that on your screen. The or la'arba asar is a very strange way to describe a date. We won't necessarily talk about why they do describe it that way right now, but suffice it to say that it means the night before Pesach. So Pesach is celebrated on the 15th of Nisan, and the night before will be the 14th of Nisan. So the halacha is bodkin es hachametz. So we're supposed to search and look for chametz. How do you do it? La'or haner, to the light of the candle. Where do you have to do it? If you have a place that you never bring chametz, you don't have to do bedikat chametz over there. In my home, we have Kanai Nahar. We have 2 boys under the age of 3, so there's no such thing as a place that you don't bring chametz. Okay, so but if you live in a home where you only eat in the kitchen, so there's no mitzvah to do a bedika everywhere else. So the question is, why do you have to do bedikat chametz? The Mishnah seems to assume that you know what this is, and the issue that we're first going to approach is, why do you have to do bedikat chametz? So of course we go to our best friend Rashi, and Rashi tells us bodkin. It's underlined over here. I'm circling it with my mouse. Rashi says, we're going to look at this Dibur HaMaskal right over here. I just circled it. Okay, bodkin. Bodkin shelo yavar alav. Rashi says the reason why we do bedikat chametz shelo yavar alav b'bal yira'eh u'b'bal yimatzeh, so that you will not come to transgress bal yira'eh and bal yimatzeh. Adriel, should I put you on the spot? No, don't worry. I won't put you on the spot. Don't worry.
Put him on the spot.
Okay, bet lamed is Aramaic, but it takes place for a Hebrew word. Which Hebrew word is it? Do you remember?
Oh, bal means no.
Lo. It means lo, right? So really, the Torah says lo yira'eh, lo yimatzeh, but here we have ba yira'eh, ba yimatzeh. It's just an Aramaic word that takes the place of the Hebrew word of ba yira'eh, of lo yira'eh, lo yimatzeh. So let's take a moment to look at that source. That source is going to be there's 2 psukim. One is let's see if we can do this. I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment. I can get to it easily. So one pasuk is in Shemos Perek Yud Beis. And there the Torah is speaking obviously about Pesach. And there the Torah says, okay, let's take a look at this. So here we go. Very simple, okay? Shivas Yomim, for 7 days, matzos tochelu, you shall eat matzos. Ach bayom harishon, but on the first day, tashbitu seor mibatechem. We're going to come back to this pasuk in a little bit. On the first day, you shall destroy, seor is yeast. It's another way of saying leaven or chametz. Mibatechem, from your homes. Anybody who eats chametz on Pesach itself, it's a onesh of kares, which is a spiritual punishment. Miyom Harishon ad Yom HaShvi, the mitzvah is to not eat chametz from day 1 until day 7. Biblically, in Eretz Yisrael, the holiday is 7 days. Yom Harishon Mikra Kodesh, Yom HaShvi Mikra Kodesh, Yeh Lachem. The first day is a holiday, the 7th day is a holiday. In between is what we call Chol Moed. And on that first day and on that 7th day, Kol Malacha Lo Yaseh Behem, you're not supposed to do malacha. So there's a rule, a mitzvah that says you're not allowed to do malacha, which that is what makes it yontif. That's what makes it a chag. That's what makes it special. You're allowed to cook, and that's the source in the Torah for the idea, that you're allowed to cook on the chag. Because it says, but you're allowed, that you're allowed to perform. Okay, we're going to skip a little bit over here. And then it says, Shivat Yamim Sa'or Lo Yimatzei B'Vatechem. For 7 days, you're not supposed to have leaven found in your home. Lo Yimatzei. That's the same language that we had in Rashi. Lo Bal Yira'eh U'Bal Yimatzei. It's interesting that we refer to it as Bal Yira'eh and Bal Yimatzei. It could have easily been Bal Yimatzei and Bal Yira'eh, because in the Torah, the first thing to appear is Bal Yimatzei. So there we have where the Torah itself tells us, Lo Yimatzei. It should not be found in your homes. So there's an Isser, there's a prohibition against actually owning chametz on Pesach. So that's one verse. Where is that found? That's chapter 12 of Shemos, of Exodus, verse 19. The next one is chapter 13, which I'll skip to right now. And here in chapter 13, also it speaks about chametz, and here it says, Matzos ye'achel, verse 7, es shivas ha'yamim. You're supposed to eat matzah for 7 days. V'lo ye'eh lechos chametz. No leaven, let's see how they translate, shall be seen of yours. Then you notice how they put in brackets, in your possession? Why do they do that? Because what does it mean? It shouldn't be seen. That means you're allowed to hide it and then it's okay? So that's not found, not seen? No. Obviously it means that you're not allowed to own chametz. And again, here it actually says chametz, which means leaven, and se'or, which they translate as leavening. What's the difference between se'or and chametz? Se'or is yeast, chametz is chametz. I think we all know what chametz is. Okay. So here we have 2 psukim. The Torah tells us you're not allowed to own chametz, you're not allowed to own se'or. It shouldn't be found in your property. So how does Rashi understand why there's a mitzvah of bedikat chametz to search for chametz? Rashi's very clear. Rashi says, Shelo yavar Allah b'bal yira'eh b'mal yimatzeh. So you do not come to be in violation of bal yira'eh and bal yimatzeh. In other words, if you don't look for chametz, if you don't search for chametz, then you might easily have chametz in your property. And therefore, says Rashi, you want to make sure you're not going to own chametz on Pesach, therefore search for chametz. That's how Rashi learns. Take a moment, stop from sharing. I'm just going to once again share this, the PDF with you, again, in case you prefer. The reason why I keep sharing it is because if you just joined, then you can only access it when you're alive for the chat, as opposed to if the chat preempts you, then you can't access it. That's the way this platform works. Okay? Barry Steiner, Baruch Rafi Cholam, it's a pleasure to see you. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining tonight. So here we have a mitzvah that Rashi says, that Rashi explains. The Torah says, the Torah doesn't say anything about Bedikas Chametz, seemingly. But what does the Mishnah say? That you should do Bedikat Chametz on the night before Pesach. Rashi says, why do you do that? Shelo yavar Allah ba'yirah ba'yimatzeh, so you won't come to transgress. So let's go for a moment to Tosfos. Tosfos is fascinating because Tosfos has a very hard time understanding Rashi. Now, whenever Tosfos has a question on Rashi, my grandfather, Alav Shalom, he used to say, you think Rashi was the grandfather, Tosfos is the grandchildren. So of course Rashi knew Tosfos' question, he had an answer. So let's figure out, our goal for tonight is going to figure out what was Rashi thinking and what does he do with Tosfos' question. That's our goal for tonight. So if you take a look here at the Tosfos, first Tosfos quotes Rashi. First Tosfos quotes Rashi. Pirush HaKunchos, Shelo yilavar Allah ba'yirah ba'yimatzeh. The Kasha l'ri, it's already underlined. I'll underline it in blue so you know exactly where I'm holding. Kasha l'ri. Ri, I think his name was Rabbeinu Yaakov, is one of Rashi's grandchildren, and he has a difficulty with this. Kevan nitzarach bittul. Since we need bittul. Now, what exactly is bittul? So obviously some of us are familiar, but for those who are not, I'll just quickly review. Bittul is to nullify. The boys are familiar with the term bittul Torah. We're all familiar with the term bittul Torah. To be mevatel, an idea means to do away with an idea, to make it worthless, to say it's not worth anything. The art school word would be to nullify. Now, We're familiar with Bittul because Bittul is something that we do as part of the Bedikah at night, and then we do it again in the morning. So where does it come from? It comes from the Gemara in Daf Vav. So let's take a look for a moment at this Gemara in Daf Vav. See if I can access it easily here. Pardon me? Okay. Amar Rav Yehuda. Here's the Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda. This is the Gemara on Daf Vav Amud Bet. Okay? Amar Rav Yehuda. This is where I'm reading. 1 second. I'm sorry. There you go. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Habodeg. Somebody who searches for chametz tzarech sheyivatel. Somebody who looks for chametz, he has to do what's called bittul. He has to nullify it. In other words, it's not enough to just do bedikat chametz. You also have to b'mevatel. You have to nullify it. That's what you're supposed to do. My taima. So the Gemara has a bit of a tangent here. We're not going to go through the entire tangent. We're going to skip over it. But it's not for tonight. It's for a longer shir. The Gemara concludes, Amar Rava, it's already underlined, Gzeira shama yimtza gluska yafe. There's a decree. There's a concern. Maybe you're going to find a gluska yafe. Gluska yafe means like a nice piece of chametz. I don't know what kind of chametz you enjoy, a bereka, a piece of cake, whatever it might be. Something that doesn't go stale on you, otherwise it wouldn't be called yafe, it would be called gluska stale, not gluska yafe. So maybe on Pesach what's going to happen is you're going to find something that's chametz. Vidate iluye. And your mind is going to be on it, which means for a moment you're going to think, oh, I wonder if I should have that. Oh, so the Gemara says, again, it's a bit of a tangent. We'll leave that for another time. But if you take a look at the Rashi is already underlined. I'll circle it for you. We're looking at this Rashi right over here. Vidate ole, chashuva hi be'einav. It's important in his eyes. V'chas alei l'sarfa, and he has pity on it to burn it. Meaning, there's a moment in time where he says, "Oh, it'd be such a shame to get rid of that. Let me give it away to somebody that wants it." But in the moment that you do that, masha afilu rega, in that moment you're holding on to it even for a moment, and in that moment nimsa over love b'bayu roy b'bayu matzeh. In that moment you're going to transgress owning chametz on Pesach. Aval misha batla. From the moment that you nullify it, meaning you say, I don't have the language here for you tonight, but we have it in the Haggadah. It's one of the first things found in Haggadah where it says, Kol chamia v'chamia diika b'rishusi heika afra da'ara. That's a paraphrase of it. That basically any chametz that's in my property, it really should be like dust of the earth. And that's when you nullify it, eino over. The low kosav ela tashbisu. From the moment that you're mevatel it, you've already fulfilled the mitzvah of tashbitu. Tashbitu means destroy chametz. Now we just saw a moment ago, I'll take you back there. We just saw a moment ago that, I'll stop sharing for a moment here. We just saw a moment ago that there's a pasuk in the Torah that tells us tashbitu. It was in Perek Yud Bet, so let's go back to that Perek. And it was around pasuk, let's see here. Here we go. Shivat yamim matzah tochelu. Eat matzah for 7 days. I'll share again. Shivat yamim matzah tochelu, verse 15. 7 days you should eat matzah. Ach bayom harishon tashbitu. Let's see what it says here. On the first day you should destroy. Look at the way the Chabad.org translates. On the preceding day you shall clear away all leaven from your houses. Let's translate the pasuk literally. Bayom harishon. On the first day you should destroy the leaven agents from your home. Now, let's talk about this, think about this critically for a moment. What is the first day? It can't be the 15th of Nisan, because that's already Pesach, and you're not allowed to own chametz on Pesach. So the Torah can't possibly mean on the first day, even though when you go later in the pasuk here, it says, miyom harishon ad yom hashvi, from day 1 until day 7. Well, which day 1 and day 7 is that? Day 1 until day 7. Which day 1 and day 7 is that? That's from the 15th until the 22nd. So then what's meant over here by Yom HaRishon? Could it possibly mean the 15th, that you have a mitzvah to destroy chametz on the 15th? How could you? That doesn't make any sense. Because if it's already Pesach, then it's too late. You already own the chametz. You're in violation of Bayira Matzeh, which is in the next, which is a little bit later in the Torah. So the Torah cannot possibly mean that on the 15th of Nisan you should destroy chametz. Therefore, Chazal say, what is it? It's part of obviously Torah Shabbal Peh, it's part of our Masorah, part of our tradition from Moshe at Sinai. What is meant when the Torah says that on the first day you should destroy? What's meant is simply that on Erev Chag, there's a mitzvah to destroy chametz. What do we call that nowadays? We call that bir chametz. By the way, if anyone has any questions, you can always raise your hand. I'll see it in the, I'll see it on the by your face or by your name. Or if you want to have any comments to make, and you can use the chat to comment as well. Okay. So therefore, tashbitu is the mitzvah to destroy on Erev Chag. So let's go back to that Rashi. What did Rashi say at the end here? Avol misha bala ina over. When you're mevatel, you haven't transgressed. The lo kosav ela tashbitu. The Torah only requires you to do tashbitu. What do you see from this Rashi? Something phenomenal, something really interesting, which is that tashbitu doesn't mean to destroy. Rather, it means to get rid of. How do you get rid of it? How did Chabad.org translate it? Who remembers? On the preceding day, hold on. Sorry. On the preceding day, Chabad said, it doesn't open right now, but basically says to get rid of it, remove it from your homes. How do you remove from your homes? Technically, you could remove it from your home by simply doing what's called bittul, by just nullifying it. So now let's go back to the Tosfos. Now that we understand these concepts of bittul chametz, of nullifying chametz, and we understand that, at least on some level, that you see in the Gemara, that we're concerned you might come own chametz, therefore you have to be mevatel chametz. So let's go back to Tosfos over here on the top, at the beginning of the Masechta. By the way, these source sheets are organized by Olamot. That's Tzvika Reisman source sheets, okay? I gave a similar shiurim last year, and I did it myself, but this is much easier. Okay. So here Tosfos says like this. Rashi had learned, let's review Rashi, some people just joined us. Rashi learns that the Mishnah says you should do Bedikat Chametz. That's what the Mishnah says. Oops. Right? So why do you do Bedikat Chametz? Rashi says, I'm circling it here with the mouse, Shelo Yavar Alo Bayira Bayimatzi, so you shouldn't come to own Chametz on Pesach. Tosfos says, I have a big problem with that. The Keva Nitzarech Bittul, since the Gemara told us that you have to do Bittul. Kida Omar Gemara Davavam Beis, Habodik Tzarech Sheyivatel, Umidoraita Bebittul Be'almasagi. So that's already a bit of a commentary that Tosfos is throwing in there. But since we just learned the Gemara in Davavam Bet, that taught us that when you do Bedikah, you still have to do Bittul. That when you search for Chametz, you still have to nullify the Chametz. So, and we know that Midoraita, from a Torah level, once you did Bittul, at least the way Rashi explained on Vavam Bet, on page 6b, that once you did Bittul, so then that's a kiyum, that's a fulfillment of the mitzvah of tashbitu, of getting rid of your Chametz. So then on a Torah level, all you have to do is bittul, nullify it. So therefore Rashi wants to know, or Tosfos rather wants to know, why did the rabbis require bedika? So Tosfos says a very interesting answer. So are we following? Basically Tosfos' question is, why bother with bedika? Don't tell me it's because of Rashi, so you don't own chametz on Pesach. That's not true. The reason why you don't own chametz on Pesach, it's not because you did bedika, it's for a different reason. It's because you did bittul. It's because you nullified it. So if you nullified the chametz on Pesach, so then you don't own the chametz on Pesach. So what's Rashi talking about? That you have to do bedika in order not to violate Bayirah Bayimatzi. And as I mentioned, and some people are just joining us now, and as I mentioned, this is our goal tonight. Our goal is simply this. Why did Rashi say something so simple? Why did Rashi say something? For a second?
That's my favorite.
Pardon me for a second? Okay. Why did Rashi say, thank you, Ashka, and welcome. Why did Rashi say that you have to do bedika in order not to violate only chametz on Pesach? It's simply not true. For that, you already did bittul. You just nullified. It's not necessary to do a bedika. Now, Rashi, as we said, as my grandfather Hashem used to say, Rashi knew what he was talking about. So our goal tonight is simply to explain why did Rashi say what he says. So before we look at before we explain where Rashi's coming from, let's take a look at Tosfos' approach, which is a little bit different than Rashi's. So Venera Lari, so the Ri again is Rabbeinu Yaakov, the same person who asked the question. He has a different approach. Why does the Mishnah require Bedikat Chametz? He says, that even though Desagi Bittul Bialma, even though it's enough to simply do Bittul by itself, which means to nullify it, means on a Torah level. That's good enough. Hichmiru Chachamim livdog Chametz v'levaro. The Chachamim, the sages, were strict, were stringent, and they created this din d'Rabbanan, and they created this halachic imperative. Good night, Sarah Liba. They created a halachic imperative to do b'diyat chametz as well, and then to destroy the chametz or get rid of it. Why? Says Tosfos, underline, shelo yavo la'achla, so you don't come to eat it. So you don't come to eat it. Because what would happen if you didn't do b'dikat chametz? You did bittul. Would you be in violation of only chametz on Pesach? No, you would not be, because you did bittul. You nullified it. But what happens if you find chametz on Pesach? Accidentally, you might come to eat it. And that's really what the Gemara in Vav Amabet said. Shema yimtzak loska yafa. You're going to find some incredible piece of chametz, and you're going to want to eat it. And then Tosfos says, parenthetically, v'chein mashma lekaman. The Gemara in Daf Yonah Beis speaks about a different case, where he's speaking about kikar b'shmei korah. Let's say you have chametz in an unreachable place. Are you obligated to destroy it, to get rid of it, or not? You have to be concerned maybe it'll fall. And Tosfos says, v'asi lemichle. The concern is if it falls, you might come to eat it. Why is there a concern? You might come to eat chametz on Pesach. I'll tell you a story. I may or may not have shared this with the boys, but many years ago, I guess I was just 21 years old, and there used to be a place in Anaheim called ESPN Zone. The boys told me it doesn't exist anymore. I haven't been down there in a long time. ESPN Zone, besides, back then we didn't have a television at home. Still don't have a television at home. And we wanted to, I guess it was a Laker playoff game. I went with a friend to watch a game. So ESPN Zone is a place to do arcades, but they also have a bar there. So we're sitting there, and I turned to my friend, and he turned to me. I don't remember who. Let's put the blame on him. And he goes, hey, let's get a beer. And we were thinking, we'll have to drive back. It's not worth it, whatever. And then on the way back, we said, oh my goodness, we almost ordered a beer on Pesach. And obviously a beer is chametz. Yeah, that's crazy. That is like one of the craziest stories. And thank God we didn't order it. And hopefully, had we ordered it, had we bought it without drinking it, it would be one violation.
You can get date beer now.
Okay, shkach. But had we actually had it to drink, it would have been a different thing. Thank God we didn't order it, we didn't drink it, and that's that. But why is that? How could that happen? So Tosfos says something fascinating. He says like this. And so by the mouse, by the underline here. The concept of Yisuri Hana is one which is that some things are prohibited, that you're not allowed to get pleasure from them. The one that's probably the most relevant in halachic usage nowadays is probably going to be basar v'chalav, milk and meat. Is it mutter? Are you allowed to own a McDonald's franchise from a halachic perspective? I'm not paskening, but probably not. Probably not. Well, I'm not saying you can't own stock in McDonald's, but are you allowed to actually own a franchise? My guess is that you're not allowed to. Why? Because you're selling meat and milk together, and that's asur b'hana. Many of us have pets. Are you allowed to feed animal feed to your pets that is basar v'chalav, meat and milk mixed together? So you're not allowed to. Are you allowed to feed treif food to your animal? Absolutely, yes. In fact, there's a mitzvah in the Torah to give nevela, which is treif, to your dogs. What about chametz? Chametz is asur b'hana. You're not allowed to get pleasure from chametz. So are you allowed to feed chametz on Pesach to your animal? The answer, people that have pets know that you're not supposed to do that. Why? It's called asur b'hana. It's prohibited to get pleasure from it. Herb, I see your question. Let me get to it in a moment, okay? So that's called asur b'hana. Now, if you have somehow or another, someone gives you a Big Mac, okay? It's a cheeseburger. And are you obligated to destroy it? Is there a chiyuv? Is there an obligation to destroy Yisuri Hana? Are you obligated to destroy milk and meat cooked together? Or you just get rid of it? The answer is, you're not obligated to destroy it. There's no chiyuv, there's no obligation to destroy Yisuri Hana. Typically, there's no obligation to destroy that which is prohibited because there's a prohibition to get any sort of pleasure from it. And why is it that when it comes to chametz, that's what Tosfos is wondering. Why is it when it comes to chametz, if you find chametz in your house on Pesach, which you cannot get pleasure from, you have to destroy it? Why is that? Tosfos says, the reason that they were more stringent with chametz on Pesach more than other examples of Yisuri Hana, there's no requirement to destroy them. Since chametz is mutter all year long, it's only prohibited on Pesach. People won't separate themselves from it. They might accidentally, like I told you the story with the bar, they might accidentally come to eat it, come to drink it, or something like that. Noam, what are you going to do with that picture? Okay. So they might come to do something accidentally, and therefore there's a mitzvah to destroy chametz on Pesach. So according to Tosfos, why is there a mitzvah bedikas chametz? Simply to make sure you don't have any chametz in your property. Let's get to Herb's question. Herb is asking, what's the source in the Gemara for the current practice of selling chametz? I don't know. I'm not sure that there is a source in the Gemara. I don't know. It goes back that far. This is a tangent, but we'll just answer quickly. I believe it's because we were limited. Jews were limited in terms of the sorts of industries we were allowed to be involved in, and there were many Jews who were brewers, and for them to have to get rid of their entire stock would be unreasonable, and therefore they created this system of mechiras chametz where you sell it to a non-Jew. In Dallas, Texas, which is part of the Bible Belt, I have two sisters living in Dallas. Their shul there is made up of kollel guys. Some New York people left New York because of the cost of living, and they found jobs there. Some religious people originally from Dallas, like the Rosenbergs, famous Rosenberg family there, and then many Bali Tshuva and many converts as well, because it's the Bible Belt. That's the nature in Dallas. So there are some people though who say, you know what? I don't really want to be Jewish. I mean, it's 613 mitzvahs. Okay, it's not really. It's more like 312, whatever the number might be nowadays. But I'm not interested in really being Jewish. It's too difficult. But they lead a Jewish lifestyle. They're Noahites. And what they do is they spend time. They spend time with the community. So of course the rabbis sell the chametz to one of these people. And he goes around from house to house eating people's chametz, eating his own chametz, I should say, to show that the sale is valid and real. Okay. So earlier I told you, and that our goal for tonight is, what was Rashi thinking? Rashi knows the Gemara in Daf Vav. It's only 5 pages away. Rashi knows that the Gemara says that you have to do bittul, you have to nullify. So why does Rashi say that the reason why you do Bedikah is so you don't come to violate only chametz on Pesach? So let's take a look at the Ran. The Ran is Rabbeinu Nisim. Rabbeinu Nisim is one of the Rishonim on the Gemara. It's published in the back of the Gemara on the Rif. Here, these are called the Dafei Harif. The Dafei Harif is Rabbi Yitzchak Alfasi, was the Sephardic halachic commentator on the Talmud, and Rabbeinu Asher, the Rosh, is the Ashkenazi commentator on the Talmud. We didn't have a Shulchan Aruch until the Rosh's son, Rabbeinu Yaakov, who was the Rosh's son, Rabbeinu Asher's son. He decided to reorganize halacha so that it's so that things would be more easily found. So let's take a look at the Ran. The Ran has a different understanding of why it is that we do Bedikah. And it's a very interesting reading. And then my blue lines are messing us up over here. Let's see if we could remove them by doing that. No, we can't. Okay. Oh, here we go. Let me see if I can just make some space here. I'll circle it for you to show you where we're starting. Let's see, first let's clear everything. Clear all drawings. Oh, look at that. Okay, I knew there had to be a simple solution. Okay, so we're gonna start right over here in the Ran. Okay. Elakachu ikaran shel devarim. This is the reason, this is the primary understanding of why we do Bedikah. Shezesh amrat Torah tashbitu. The Torah says tashbitu. Tashbitu means remove, destroy. When the Torah says tashbitu, yachol yitkayem be'echad mibet devarim. There are 2 ways to fulfill the mitzvah of tashbitu. And again, tashbitu ideally takes place when? Erev Chag, on Yom Rishon, which meant the day before the Chag. Oh, sheyivat belibo kol chametz sheish b'reshuto. Option number 1 and the easy option is do bittul. Just nullify in your mind. You know, leiv means heart, but really what does leiv mean? It means your mind. Leiv means heart, but it really means your mind. In many places. Okay? You can go ahead and just in your mind say, it's not mine. It's like you're making it hefker. It's like you're making it ownerless. Using the power of your mind, it's like the force, lahavdil. Using the power of your mind, you're saying, I'm no longer an owner on it. Which is a chiddush that you could do such a thing, because normally when it comes to hefker, you have to go to a basin to make something ownerless. Normally, in order for something to change rishuyos, to change domains, one must do a kinyan. The person acquiring it must make a kinyan, which is a method of acquisition to show that he's the owner. But here we're making it ownerless, so that's not going to apply. Visagi bahachi midoraita. That's enough. On a Torah level, all you have to do is bittul. Afilu b'chametz hayedulo, even with chametz that he for sure knows about. Now, that's option number one. Option number two, imlo bittul belibo klal. If you did not do bittul, look at this language here. What did I tell you in the beginning of this year? That the mitzvah bedikat chametz is midrabanan. The Mishnah brings it. Not something you find in the Torah. Look at the beautiful language of the Ran here. Imlo bitlo belibo klal. I'm following with my mouse here. If he did not do nullification in his mind and his heart at all, tzarich min haTorah. On a biblical level, a person needs to sheyivdok acharav, to do bedika. A person has to look for chametz on a Torah level. B'chol makom she'ragel limatei sham, any place where he normally is found. B'chol makom she'ragel limatei sham, anywhere where he usually goes, that's where he has to look for chametz and yivarenu min ha'olam and destroy it. Period. So what's the Ran saying? The Ran is saying something phenomenal. That on a Torah level, you have two options. Option number one, you can do bittul, which is to nullify chametz. Option number two, search for the chametz and then get rid of it, physically get rid of it. But the searching is going to be a part of the mitzvah. I would say it's even more than something called hechsher mitzvah, which is what something that, building a sukkah might be called a hechsher mitzvah. It enables you to do the mitzvah. No, here the Ran is not saying that. The Ran is saying it's not, the bedika is minat Torah. Minat Torah, you have to look for the chametz and then destroy the chametz. And those are your two options. Why do I think that Rashi and the Ran are consistent with each other? First of all, he hints at it over here. But let's take you back to the top. Let's take you back to the Rashi. What did Rashi say? Let's go back to the Mishnah. What did the Mishnah say? Here we go. Or la'arba asar bot kines hachametz. Or la'arba asar bot kines hachametz. The night before Pesach, he searched for chametz. What is the topic of the Mishnah? It's bedikas chametz. It's looking for chametz. Does the Mishnah mention anywhere anything about bittul? Nothing. That doesn't come in until 6b, 5 pages later. Vavam and Beis. So therefore, Rashi is teaching you the Mishnah. He's not coming to teach you halacha. He's not coming to teach you everything you need to know about Hilchos Pesach and everything there might be to know about Pesach. Rashi's Pashtan, he's explaining what is pshat. How do we understand the Mishnah? And Rashi says, Botkin. Why do you have to do bedika? So you don't come to transgress only chametz on Pesach. That's not a din d'Rabbanan. That's the din minat Torah. That's not a rabbinic injunction that we're concerned you might find food which you might eat on Pesach, therefore search for it so you can get rid of it. No. You didn't do bittul. There's no mention of bittul. You didn't nullify it. Rather, what is it that you're doing? You're searching for chametz on a Torah level. And so therefore Tosfos says, why do you have to do bedika? You did bittul. Rashi's not disagreeing. Of course you're going to do bittul. But we don't know anything about nullification of the chametz yet. All we know is the Mishnah says bodkin. Why? Because on a Torah level already, there's a concept of bedikas chametz so that you don't come to violate Bal Yerayeh and Bal Yimatzeh. This is the share that I wanted to share with you this evening. I hope you see. There's just a few lines really of Gemara here, just a few lines of Rashi, Tosfos, and of Gemara, and to me this is the most fun in the world. My 8th grade students are slowly coming around, some of them, but this is a lot of fun. But to me, this is a phenomenal. It takes what we do every single Erev Pesach, and it brings it to life. It shows you where the sources are, why we do what we do, and it's fascinating that when we do bedikas chametz at night, when we search for the chametz, what's the bracha of bedikas chametz? By the way, anybody remember it by heart? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al biur chametz. That's right. Good. Al biur chametz. Why is that biur chametz? Al bedikas chametz. According to the Ran, it's beautiful because you're searching for it in order to destroy it. And it's just a part of the mitzvah. And the focus, obviously, is getting rid of it. So that's that's the end of the mitzvah. That's why the bracha is on that. Okay, I'll leave you here for tonight. I thank you so much for joining us this evening. I thank you so much for listening. If anybody wants a chazara, I could send you a recording of this. And Laila Tov, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Be well.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You very much.
My pleasure. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to stay on.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome, Andy. Noam, thanks for joining us. Chaim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Rabbi.
My pleasure.
I have a question, actually.
Sure.
when the Ron says his line, he precedes it by saying you didn't do a bittul in this case.
If you didn't do bittul, right?
So can you just say that the machlokas between Rashi and Tosfos is just a mitzias, that Rashi's saying that the Mishnah is a case where you didn't do the bittul before, and Tosfos wasn't okimta like that, so it's not a misfara, it's just whether you did the bittul before or not.
I think you could say that, but I think the advantage of saying what I'm saying is that why would Rashi force himself into the kimta? Because then Tosfos' question is a little bit stronger on Rashi. But if you learn Rashi simply, I mean, by the way, the Ran says it in Rashi, so I'm not making it up. But I realized it even before I read that line that was in parentheses in the Ran. But with Rashi, I think to me, Rashi is simply explaining the Mishnah. That's all he's doing, and the Mishnah only discusses Bedikah. And I think that's the advantage of you want to open when you're learning. You want to try to leave as open. We want to try to leave things as open as possible, as opposed to narrow things down. So it's true that it would help explain how why Tosfos doesn't like Rashi, but Tosfos for some reason says how could Rashi ignore Vav and Beis? It should have included it already. But that's my thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, Barry, what do you say? Take care, Chaim. Have a good night. Barry, Joanne, what do you say? I don't know if he has a microphone on his computer. Maybe
That's
just
possible he doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Barry, you can type it.